Hi, I'm Allison from Boomerang and Move Smart, and today we're going to talk about hip flexion. Using your hip flexors and using them separately from your abdominal muscles, because often we kind of chunk them together. So you're going to lie down. You can have something under your head if you want, not if you don't want, and you want to see if you can allow for your hamstrings to be towards the floor. If you know that you tend to be a bit like this, then popping a little something under your head and shoulders is probably going to be more comfortable. Bend one knee and feel for how that affects the relationship of your hips to your ribs and see if you can get them to square up. And then keeping this knee soft and your foot easy on the floor, slowly lift your leg about 1 inch off the floor and then just hold it there, using the muscles along the front of your thigh and your hip flexor to hold that position. And check and feel for tipping, twisting, pushing really hard with the other foot so your whole pelvis lifts, or the sensation that your lower back has pushed down onto the floor. We want to just keep the base of the ribs easy on the ground and not move your spine as you lift and lower your leg by 1 inch. And then once you've done that a few times, then you can lift your leg maybe 4 or 5 inches. And again, hold at the top, slide the leg back down, and see if you can really think like a Barbie leg. When a Barbie leg moves, nothing else in the Barbie moves. You want to get that same feeling. Use your hands to feel for what's happening in your pelvis and if it's tipping or twisting. And just explore, can you do this without super clenching your stomach muscles? And if you do that, do you push hard into the other foot? And if you relax your foot on the floor, does that increase your stomach muscle work? Just to see what happens. And then slide back down. Change over, do the same thing on the other side. Reach your leg down nicely on the floor. Resettle your pelvis. Because every time you change legs, I promise you, your pelvis and ribs and spine are going to shift. And you want to see if you can get them back into their box. And then slowly, without shifting anything else, lift that one leg off the floor 1 inch and hang out there and hold. Feeling for that sense of weight across the backs of your ribs. Easy and relaxed through your neck and shoulders. Slide back down. Lift 1 inch. And we're really trying to target your hip flexors here. Although we often feel like we have tight hip flexors and we just need to stretch them, it's actually incredibly important to strengthen them as well. And the harder this is to do, you can go a little higher on this repetition. The harder this is to do, the more of an indication it is that, wow, you have some more options. You have some availability and potential for change in your hips by doing some hip flexor work as well as hip flexor stretching. And you hold, and you think quiet, happy thoughts. And again, check in. Are you pushing with this foot? Are you tipping this hip off the floor? Have you tucked? Not that any of those things are bad or wrong or evil and Death Star-y, but it is an interesting observation. If you're trying to use your quad and hip flexor, what else might be going with you? And then, if that was all doable, you're going to sit up and you're going to grab a thing. It could be a yoga block, a half dome, a book, a small child, a puppy, doesn't really matter. You're going to place it on the floor, flex your feet, and then keep this little bit of lean back without collapsing your pelvis, and then lift and send your leg over the block, and then lift and come back to center. This is disconcertingly challenging for most people. And then lift and come back in. And you can do 3 more of those. So you're getting 5 arcs. So again, you're using your quad muscle, you're using your hip flexor, but hopefully you're not changing the whole angle of your spine and your pelvis to do the lift. Change the block over, same thing, other side. Find that nice long line for your spine, little strength through your arms, and then you'll feel it's usually really different. This is so much harder on my left than it was on my right. Lift, arc, come back down. 3 times, and lift and arc and come back down. 2 more, And if even it feels like this position up on your hands is super uncomfortable and straining, you could come down on your forearms and you could do kind of like a mid version here where you're getting that, the arcing and the translating from side to side, but with less strain if you have really tight hamstrings. And if you don't have really tight hamstrings and you feel like you want to give this a go sitting all the way upright, then that would be the next progression. Keeping your arms nice and stable, or if you're wanting an extra challenge again, hands off the floor and lift. See how I'm starting to tip back just a little bit. It's really, I find this incredibly challenging. And then same thing, other side, and you'll probably see there is no way, I don't think, I'm going to be able to keep my body upright using my left leg. Really hard work. Super good thigh action. And then interestingly, that provides me with extra length in my quads because I've used them. So I'm going to follow that with a little bit of a lean back. Toes into the floor, pelvis nice and stable. And then I'm going to hinge straight back. So now I'm getting some eccentric load. I'm getting some work that involves my thighs lengthening rather than flexing. I'm going to hold that for about a minute. I'm going to think happy thoughts. Add a little twist. Come back into center. Twist the other way. Come back into center. Come all the way back up. And there you go. So if you like that, let me know. Questions, post them in the comments down below. Take care and have a great Tuesday.